sorry, that was probably disgusting for a lot of people. Um, were you expecting this one? Because I wasn't. I really wasn't. I really wasn't. I really wasn't. I just wasn't. I wasn't. You know how Lizzo has that song where she's like, "I've been waiting for this one." Not me. Not me. I was not. I was not waiting for this one. Uh, so, where should I start? The top? Okay. Hi, welcome. If this is your first time, and if it's not, welcome back. I'm T you can call me T, but I don't care how you call me because that's not the point of this. The point of this is that you're here because you are obsessed with me and you really want to know about my life. So I am here letting you know what I'm doing. I don't even know where to start because it's kind of okay. We should start at the beginning. We're really gonna start at the beginning. So the last two episodes I've posted on this podcast, one of them was in April and one of them was in August of 2025. So last year, about more than 6 months ago, like 10 months ago or something. And in that episode, I talked about going through a breakup. I had broken up with my ex. We dated for 3.5 years. So I was in a very, very long-term relationship. And it was completely my fault. I will 100% take, if anybody's ever why'd you guys break up? It was me. I was the crazy one. I was batshit. I was insane. I was bad in the head. It was not okay. I hope she's doing great. Shout out to her. Also, in case you don't know, I am a lesbian. I thought that was pretty obvious, but in case you're not looking at the video, I barely have any hair. So yeah, lesbians have no hair. I'm starting the rumor and the stereotype now, right here, right now. If you ever meet a woman with no hair, boom, lesbian. Anyways, after that relationship, I recorded a podcast episode, and usually in these episodes, I'm super, super vague, and usually they're always after a big life event because that's when I feel inspired to speak, to reflect and to think and to truly have a moment to just speak to myself and truly just to myself. Podcasting is such a relieving nature for me. I feel like it gives me that sense of I can truly, truly, truly be who I am because there's no sounding board. There's no one guiding my thoughts. It's just wherever my thoughts want to go. Many times my thoughts don't go to the right places, but that's for me to know and for you to find out. And you will find out because I don't hold secrets and I live my life very publicly on the internet. Anyways, back to the story. After that, I decided to start dating. And it was the first time that I was on the dating apps, dating publicly, fully, with the mentality of getting to know new people and try new things and live new experiences and gain new perspectives. The period that was between August and January was a very rocky and, for lack of a better word, unstable, but it wasn't not unstable derogatory, unstable bad, more so just transformative, changeful, if that makes any sense. I was learning a lot about myself and learning about being a lesbian and learning about how a lesbian feels and what a lesbian thinks and meeting new lesbians from all sorts of backgrounds and learning about their perspectives and their growing ups and how they have been managing their lesbian life and how being a lesbian affects their life and how their life affects being a lesbian, vice versa. Also, I was in Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida is not the most gay place per se. I wouldn't say that. But I was truly on a journey of self-discovery, and I'm not gonna lie because I feel like I have to say this. I definitely broke some hearts, and I got my heart broken once, which she definitely is not listening, so I should tell you guys this one. I met this girl and she lived 49 miles away. And my radius on the lesbian dating app was 50 miles. So the fact that we met by 1 mile felt very like purposeful. And I have a very, 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 very bad habit. And it is through this time of self-reflection that I have learned that I have this bad habit. I have a bad habit of picturing a life that I do not live yet, because I like to live in that future thought, kind of. So I met this girl. She lived in Sarasota, and she was from Pittsburgh, actually. And she was a transplant, and she told me how she didn't have a lot of gay community. I introduced her to my friends, and that was actually a very specific kind of relationship that we had. It only lasted like a month and a half. It was a very, very short-lived relationship, and I wouldn't even call it a relationship. We were just hanging out. But at some point, she cried to me about something really personal to her. I think it was her relationship with her mother. And she told me, like, I never even cried in front of my long-term ex-girlfriend. And I was like, wow, this is a bonding moment for us. Like, I'm crying in front of you and you're crying in front of me. Like, I deeply felt to my core that brought us together and it solidified our relationship. I was wrong. I was very wrong. Very, very wrong. Because about a week and a half after that, we broke up. And saying we broke up is a compliment, because we didn't break up. She broke up with me because she went back to her ex. And I had never been, like, I had heard about how all lesbians go back to their ex, but I kind of didn't really want to believe it. I was like, no. Because I, in the moment, was like, I would never, like, I understand why my last relationship ended, and therefore I do not believe that we would have had a good future together. So when she sent me a paragraph on a Tuesday afternoon at around 5:45 p.m., and I was at work and I bawled my eyes out, I realized, oh, this is real. People do go back to their past relationships, and I do not blame her for anything. Like, I do not blame her at all. She helped me learn a lot about myself, and again, back to the same issue that I always have. She helped me learn that I was not missing her. Not because she wasn't a great person, but because I barely knew her. I knew her for a month and a half, and I didn't really know her. I was missing the future that I had truly created in my head for us. And I really fought that. I fought that hard. Like, I didn't want to believe that for the longest time. I was like, no, I miss her. She is a good person. I miss her. And I still struggle with that to this day, but she truly helped me learn that it was not about her. It was about the idea of moving in together. It was about the idea of all the new memories we're going to make, and all the new hangouts we were going to go to, and all the new things she was going to show me. And she even told me that she would give me a painting for my birthday. And it was about that. It was about the fact that I was missing on my birthday the painting that I thought I would get. It's crazy how much I can get tangled to these ideas of what I think the future is going to be. And I think that definitely also comes from being such an anxious person. I really want to know what the future is, and how the future is, and when the future is. And I want to know exactly every single detail about the future. And I don't have that. I don't know it, and I won't. And that is something that she taught me. So I'm very grateful for that, and for her, and for that experience that I had, because I would not be able to be the way that I am now and be who I am now without that information. After her, I dated a couple more people, and which I talked about this in my last podcast episode, but in the new year, I decided to cut my hair. And this is truly something that might be hard to understand, because I feel like I didn't quite understand it for a long time. And that really, I don't want to say set me back, but it definitely changed the timeline of my self-growth. So in the lesbian community, there are stereotypes. there's something which we call a femme and there's something which we call a masc. So a femme is a very feminine presenting lesbian and a masc is a very masculine presenting lesbian. And it's all a spectrum, right? So there are women who sometimes dress more feminine and sometimes dress more masculine. And I do not know the specifics of this at all. But through my long-term relationship, I was portraying and I was taking a very feminine role. Since that was my first lesbian relationship, I did not understand that lesbians are dynamic. As humans, we are dynamic. We change and we adapt and we can be whoever we want at any given point, and it is all up to us to decide to change or not, and to act and think as we please. And after that relationship, I realized I was being unfair. And I feel like this happens a lot in the lesbian community, but I was being unfair to my partner by only assuming a more quote-unquote feminine role when that is not what the relationship dynamic that my partner wanted. I think it created a lot of imbalances and it propagated a very, very, very negative stereotype within our relationship of this idea that there is the man of the relationship. And I remember asking her once, I was like, and again, this is why I have no shame to anybody else, because I have been so ignorant so many times that I still am. I know absolutely nothing, and I will make 100 million mistakes, and I am sorry for 100 million mistakes that I've already made. But I remember I was dating her, and I said, so who's the man of the relationship? And she said, there is none, because we're two women. And that just really demonstrated to myself how I was so deeply ingrained with internalized homophobia and so deeply ingrained with these societal norms that I wasn't even able to understand or to grasp the concept of two feminine energies in one relationship. And I got out of that relationship and I realized how negative that was. I realized how detrimental that was to the health and to the growth of my relationship, because I was not willing to change. I was not willing to adapt. I was not willing to take on a different role if that was necessary at the moment. I assumed that it would be me if we ever had children, would be pregnant. I assumed that if there was ever going to be one sole breadwinner, it would not be me. And again, very, very detrimental to a relationship that in nature has two women, in nature has two feminine roles. So after that, and this ties with me cutting my hair, I took it upon myself. I made it a goal for me to force myself to step out of that comfort zone. I decided I did not want to be that girl anymore. I did not want to be this quote unquote lesbian this lesbian who thinks that there is a man in the relationship, who thinks that there's a feminine role and a masculine role in every single relationship. I realized that is very, very detrimental. But not only that, I wanted to be able to change and grow and become that masculine energy if it was ever needed. I wanted my future relationships to be dynamic, to have more, I don't even know how to put it, but to have a more connected, cooperative relationship between me and my partner. I wanted my future relationships to have that space for us to grow and to try on different shoes and to try on different hats and to be able to adapt to new roles or pick and choose new roles, and that I as a partner would be able to change with them. I as a partner would be able to accept that, would be able to understand that truly. So after that 3.5 year long relationship, I decided I need to be able to more easily embrace masculine roles if that is what I think my partner would need. So all of that plus needing just, a reset and a change and just something different, I cut my hair. In January, I think it was January 4th of 2026, I decided to chop it all off. I decided that I was gonna have a kind of like a pixie cut of sorts. I'm not sure. And again, more learning steps, because it was so incredibly wrong of me to assume that because I have a short haircut, I would quote unquote take any masculine role if the chance / opportunity was given. And that was such a moment of self-growth, because I realized, wow, I not only feel like I have feminine energy, but this is truly something I like. I enjoy being feminine. I enjoy all the perks and all the qualities that come with feeling feminine. And it's not about cleavage, it's not about body types, it's not about, I don't even quite know how to understand it, but because I generally, to this day, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably really don't. But I enjoyed embracing my femininity. I enjoyed being able to be very feminine presenting. And even with my very short hair at the time, which is when I thought I would be quote unquote more masculine presenting, I was still veering towards feminine looks. I was still trying to just be, oh, I am just a girl with short hair. Like, I realized that is deeply what I wanted. I did not want to be a masculine presenting lesbian. And that is just something that was innate to me that I didn't recognize. It took me cutting my hair for me to realize, oh, it's just, I can, and this is going to explain it perfectly. It showed me that masculinity, and this is going to be the dumbest thing you've ever heard if you're woke. It showed me that masculinity is literally not related at all to what you look like. And I think this was a very eye-opening moment for me, because it wasn't about what other people looked like. It wasn't about seeing a masculine presenting person in the wild. No. It was about looking in the mirror and thinking to myself, wow, if I put on a suit and tie right now, I look like a masculine person. It was about looking in the mirror and being like, that is not how I want to present. That might be something I want to feel. That might be a behavior that I want to act upon, but that is not how I want to look. And it was very healing to me too, because I realized the way I've looked and the way I've dressed and the way I present is not just directly a product of everybody around me, but it is truly what I want to do. And that was really, really, really healing to me. It was really healing to me to allow myself to cut my hair and try out different things, for me to realize, no, this is actually not what I want. I know what I want, and it is not this. And that moment was very peaceful. It was very peaceful to me. I also realized, because I have always had hair that I've really, really liked. It's always been jet black. It's always been very straight and very long. And I was really tied to it. And that was a moment of, I can still be who I want to be with short hair. And you might go, this is crazy that this girl is talking for 20 minutes about what her hair looks like. But it was that deep. It was that deep. It really was. And it also was tied to the fact that I had people tell me, I didn't know you were a lesbian, but now it's so obvious because you have such a short haircut. And I was like, that is crazy, because even with a short haircut, I am still very feminine presenting. But the rest of the world, and me before I got that haircut, thought that with just cutting my hair, I would be, this very masculine lesbian. And that wasn't the truth. That was not what it was at all. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to have that experience, and I'm able to be who I am now and still discover other parts of myself that I was not aware impacted me and affected me in such a deep ingrained way, I guess. Also, with having the short hair in a place like Tampa, Florida, I really felt like I stuck out. I felt different. I felt unique. I felt not special, but I almost a little bit like a sore thumb. I really started to notice how people in Tampa viewed me not in a judging way, but it was very apparent that I was striking, that I was more captivating to the naked eye because I stood out for having such short hair. I'm half Hispanic and half Asian, so I feel like that is also a very specific combination. And I have such a loud personality as well that I think really made me just a whole bundle of different in the eyes of someone who maybe does not see people who are that different all the time, or maybe does not surround themselves with people who are very different, if that makes any sense. That basically puts you up to date with who I was up to January 1st with more in-depth explanation, because I feel like I didn't really go into it last podcast episode because I was still kind of embarrassed of all the growing I still had left to do. But I am very grateful for any and all partners that I had anywhere in between my journey to kind of like that self-discovery. And I really am sorry to people who maybe I was not as kind to because I didn't understand who I was. And that's not an excuse. It really isn't. Nothing gives you the right to be a fucking asshole, like, no matter what background or what you're going through. But I'm still very grateful for them and for me for pushing myself to, understand these things about myself that I feel like I didn't before. And yeah, thank you for listening. I don't know. Thank you for coming along, and I'll have another episode next week, actually. Fun fact. So yeah, thank you. Bye. The end.